A thread by Carlos Osuida. How lame are the Democrats? This is their October surprise for Donald Trump. From The Hill, Andrew Cuomo penning new book on coronavirus response. Quote from the article, Cuomo's book, American Crisis, is set for release in October, just 3 weeks before the presidential election. In his own voice, Andrew Cuomo chronicles in American Crisis the ingenuity and sacrifice required of so many to fight the pandemic, sharing his personal reflections and the decision-making that shaped his policy, and offers his frank accounting and assessment of his interactions with the federal government and the White House, as well as other state and local political and health officials, Crown Books said in a statement Tuesday. So, he'll go on the air slamming Trump for 3 weeks. Guess what? It already failed. The AP fact-checked his butt. From apnews.com, Governor Andrew Cuomo book on COVID-19 response out in October. Since Cuomo is such a dick, this is going to backfire spectacularly. The second he's asked a question, he's going to respond angrily. And he's lying about his entire response to the pandemic. He demanded ventilators, not knowing that he already had enough. He just didn't know it. Trump's people had to tell him where they were. This is how it's going to go for Cuomo. From New York Post, Governor Cuomo gets defensive about his upcoming COVID-19 book. Democrats use straw men as their only form of argument. Obama would cram words into everybody's mouth and then disagree with them haughtily and mockingly. Here's the deal. We're coming out of a national crisis. The old games are no longer effective. Watch Trump's press conferences. The press are like whipped dogs. They're cowed. It's because the scales have finally dropped from their eyes, so they're experiencing mental turmoil for the first time in their lives. I know what happened here. YouTube video in the description. You have to watch this video. It is Joe Biden with Jill Biden saying that she will be a great first lady, 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 lady. He says lady 4 times. It's really weird. And watch the freeze frames. They rehearse Biden mercilessly. So he forgot that they were live, and he tried different forms of delivery. Here he is saying lady the first time versus lady number 4. Jill Biden gulped visibly in the middle of that short circuit. And Biden is looking over the camera, not into it. He's reading it. Compare his eyes to hers. I have a severe stutter that I conquered through sheer willpower. Anthony Perkins did a masterful job showing what happens when stutterers are under stress. I didn't have a stutter until after I was 4, so none of the known causes apply to me. As I've said, the main flaw of hard sciences is scientists. Frail humans are generally unable to face reality. That includes scientists. I'm the only person I know of who asked a psychiatrist to show me no mercy at all in terms of telling me the reality of my situation. He didn't do it sadistically. I had no problem at all facing my reality in terms of fighting his explanations. What he did in the beginning was explain how he would do it. Here's what he said. You're afraid of a lake. It's the lake of knowledge. My job is to teach you to swim in it. First, we're going to walk around the lake and get you used to it. Then I'm going to try to get you to put your toes in it. If you can do that, I'm going to try and get you to go up to your ankles and your shins, then your knees, your thighs, your waist, your chest, and your neck. Only then will I try to teach you to swim. Here was the key. This made me trust him. I have no vested interest in teaching you to swim. If you can't, you can't. I'll shake hands with you and send you on your way. I don't want you to waste my time. He knew by that time that I prefer bluntness, so he was blunt. And he was the one who ended the sessions. I started swimming in the lake, and now I can swim in the ocean. So, what happened to the Democrats? None of these people knew how to swim. They rode on the backs of swimming Republicans. Republicans who gave the scorpion a ride, got stung, and went down to Davy Jones's locker. That means the bottom of the ocean. I had to look it up. Trump told the Democrats this: I have a much better idea. I'll give you a ride on my luxury yacht. Then he tossed them overboard in the middle of the Atlantic. Don't worry, he called back to them as he steamed away. You have thousands of miles to learn how to swim. I wish you well. So everything you're seeing is real. Biden is moving in and out of time. He has to look at giant signs to remind him to say First Lady, but he rehearses it as it's being broadcast. Most mental health specialists get into the field of mental health to find out what's wrong with them. I knew since the age of 4 that everything was wrong, but I thought I was beyond salvation. It was a cardiologist who put me on psychotropics. My heart was physically fine, so he wanted to see if it was a mental health issue. I didn't fight it because it seemed like it was entirely possible. He recommended that I see a psychiatrist. I agreed, despite the fact that the idea filled me with horror. The only way I could do it was if we didn't make like some greasy, smarmy Hollywood scenario where the guy was the one crying, where the guy has one crying jag and everything's fine. Every book I'd read by psychiatrists helped somewhat, but every single famous psychiatrist was insane. The world's greatest expert on anorexia is the Belgian sexologist Walter van der Eycken. He sexually exploited his patients for 40 years. This is the best he could do at trying to look warm and caring. Belgium allows euthanasia for depressed people. We don't know how many women he euthanized after finishing with them. A fellow psychiatrist euthanized the only woman who ever went public. He killed her before she could testify in a hearing. Initially, he was allowed to continue his private practice, but it took 2 years before he was banned from the medical profession for life. No punishment. I knew all these stories, so it's an understatement to say I was wary, given my history of being the target of predators. But the doctor was great. Essentially, he said I'm foobar, fucked up beyond all recognition. Since I already knew that, it freed me of any lingering doubts I had about what to do with my life. See, as doors close, others open. I made my own doorways. They don't actually have doors on them. That's so others can go through them if they want.